of the Premier League, but certainly a patchy start to the season. And look, we talked about Manchester United, and they have quite deep-rooted problems that have been reoccurring over the course of a few seasons under different managers and with different groups of players. Chelsea, it feels like a whole raft of changes in the playing squad. They've got a managerial change. They had new owners last season. We'll start relatively positively. Is a certain amount of settling to be expected?
I mean, look, the settlement was like over the summer. I spoke to Pochettino and the feeling he gave me. So I think that was already a good start, right? You're talking to a man that's very confident and knows what he's doing. I think that was one of the key things that they needed. I always call it the thread that you're pulling through to the club needs to be visible, that everybody understands what's going on. Mm-hmm. Okay, I had a feeling he was the right guy, and I still have the feeling, so it's not like I'm talking in the past. And then, of course, they add new players, but then it comes a moment where I always said, after a while, I said, stop now. Because why I said stop now, it's like a puzzle, right? If you make the puzzle to a certain, you make it look like a certain thing, and then you try to build on that. No, we need more. And I was happy when the window was shut. Because now it's like, okay, this is what you got, let's go now. Okay, then the sad part comes for him. Because sometimes people also have to understand his side. You have a team, and you have great talents in it, but then you have injuries, okay, and key injuries. Like Reece James is a key figure for your team. Caicedo, regardless if it's only the traveling or whatever, but he misses the game. A key figure for your team. And Kunku, you start the season with a guy that we talked about for so long, and you sign him, and you need a goal-scoring threat. He gets injured. Imagine that. So I feel like we also have to be honest, because I hear people complaining about that. Yeah, but guys, also give him time. Lavi, he hasn't played yet. So that I understand, but away from that, when I watched the game yesterday, one thing was a big surprise for me. It took them so long to understand that Gallagher was the free man. And I don't like that. When you see after 10 minutes, he's your free man, because they could not stop him, then the rest of the team needs to work to get him on the ball and making sure that you are ready to go. And it took them too long to realize, like, oh, he's the free man. And then they started to, and in the second half, yeah, what's going to happen? They're going to adjust it.
I think what I saw with that game, Kels, with Chelsea was kind of like the kind of game that Chelsea needed, because Bournemouth are going to press high. They leave a lot of space in the midfield, like you say, where Gallagher could have taken advantage. And they've got good pace, Chelsea and Mudryk and Sterling, to exploit it. And I think that they had the chances to do it. I think that they missed very, very good chances. And the kind of chances that the Chelsea team, they need to take those chances so as they can start to build confidence, start to build momentum. But what happens is that they miss the chances, and then they lose. They kind of get back. They fall back in themselves. We're talking about a young team with a new manager who's very good. He's got a very good record with young players and bringing young players through. We're talking about him trying to get them to a place where the Chelsea fans expect to win things.
Yeah.
So you've got young players, centre midfield, centre backs. You need a striker. It's this what you've needed. I know Nkunku is injured, but Chelsea have needed a striker for a long time, and they've still not dealt with that properly. If they had somebody to take the chances, they win this game. They probably win a few more games, and then they start to get their confidence. But what I'm seeing is from the fan base, especially Kels, is a lack of patience, simply because all of a sudden, the project is we're buying young for a long-term project, for a team and a club under Abramovich that win things. You bring a manager in, he wins things. Now it's turned into project with young players who have to win now, and they're trying to learn what they're doing. For me, it's crazy what I'm seeing at the moment, and I don't know how this is going to work out.
I totally agree with you, because you look also at a team as well. You need help. Like when we were young players, righty. You know, like, and you know, like you had your legendary time, and I watched, like me as a kid, watching you play, watching at little details of you, that made me come to this country. Because I never forget that, I tell you all the time, my first time meeting a famous person in this country was you. I walked over the street, and I was like, huh?
And you stayed.
And I was like, huh? And I signed, and I was like, yeah. I said, righty. And then he said, hey, Mario. And I was like, how do you know my name? You know, but he knew that, oh, you're a talent from Holland. But anyway, so what I say is that they need the details. the details, like, okay, we talk about Mudryk, right? The news came out that Pochettino made that comment himself and said, like, he needs to understand the English game better. Whatever. But those are details because Mudryk comes from a side where he was the leading man. Comes into a league now where you have more of his ability around him.
Yeah.
So people understand him quicker. So now you need to hear from your coach, come back or go a bit deeper, Now sometimes he picks up the ball so far that he becomes less dangerous when he gets in the situation. Pick the ball up higher up and then you already against the one against one. Now he's got to run the ball and then everybody comes back. So this is just an example. But what I'm saying is that you have a lot of them, they are young and they need more football knowledge.
Yeah.
But it's a lot of attention you have to give them.
Especially at Chelsea.
Yeah.
Chelsea team that are used to winning. And now you've got a young team, like I say, with a project. They want to win. They're trying to win. You've got a new manager. You've got young players. You know what I mean? It's kind of running away from them. It really does feel like a massive pressurised situation.
But even with the injuries that you talk about to Reece James, to Caicedo and Nkunku, which is a huge one because goal scoring is really where they're completely falling down. They're creating the chances but not converting them. Even then, they've spent £1 billion. They spent £400 million in this transfer window just gone. And I know it's not all in one lump sum over the coming years because they are young players and that's how they're managing the FFP situation. But you look at the starting lineup yesterday and on the bench there are 6 players who have no Premier League experience whatsoever, who Chelsea fans would be struggling to name and to kind of put a face to, and in fact don't even have faces available to them on the official match day team list.
Gosh.
I mean, that's how inexperienced and new these players are. How can you spend all that money and end up with an unrecognisable team, an unrecognisable bench?
That's why I said, for Poch to be in that situation. And he's very calm, because you don't see him on TV complaining about anything. He says some certain things that need to be said, but you still feel like he's in control. I haven't watched a man that's panicking. But the only thing is like how you highlight it. Some of the guys, you're young and you get your chance and you want to grab it. And that's what Chelsea wants. They want to use their youth system, but not in a situation like this. You got to be careful with this because, they got to earn their spot and really get in and make it happen.
Mario, Darren, lovely to see you. Thank you very much for coming in this week. Lots to talk about, as we said, and we haven't even scratched the surface of it. Feels like one of those weeks where we could have stayed on for twice as much time and still not have run out of things to say. And next week when we come back, there'll have been a North London derby. So you'll be able to tell straight away from Righteous Face who won that one. But we will be reflecting on that at the same time next week. Good luck to all the teams playing in Europe this week, and we'll see you this time next week. Bye for now.